Hello everybody, we're going to do a video here on our farm. The other 2 days ago we had a field trip from the high school, and my daughter's in FFA and I was in Edwardsville FFA. She's in middle school, and she had a bunch of other kids from her class to come out here because we had the chickens and the eggs that they raised in the school. And we had 2 buses come out from 2 different schools. So the middle school, which has a required ag class of a quarter, and they have an opportunity to join FFA and kind of be in it. It's a vocational agriculture is what it stands for. During World War II, a lot of guys came back. There were a lot of people that never went to high school. They went back and they took ag class to get on the farm bill and was in the FFA. So FFA was vocational high school from through all the years of 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And it also carries into your college years if you want to keep on going. So vocational agriculture at that time, you could still stay a member to it till about 21 years of age. So even though the ones that was in class or high school was the presidents and the officers, that did give a chance for members to come back to the high school and give some onset and help with the other classes and stuff at that time. So anyhow, basically I sell alfalfa seed and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and basically my presentation I did for the kids. And Lisa, my web designer, said, well, I didn't know all this other stuff, and neither does anybody, a lot of other people. And really there was only 2 kids out of the 15 or 19 that actually came to the farm that had a grasp of a lot of stuff. And they're wanting to go to, even though it's FFA, I think they, Future Farmers of America, I think they take that in a different direction now. My mindset's still going to be FFA, but what really makes a difference now is the jobs and the careers and stuff that's needed in agriculture is not just on the farm. And as I was getting some of this equipment ready, I realized that we need mechanics and different forms of stuff and working on equipment and buildings and stuff or whatever. Being there. So I'm going to kind of throw a career thing and knowledge of my hay business to everybody there. And one of the main things that I'm going to start right here, but we are going to go to the equipment, kind of show how it's worked. But this is the final product here is the bales. This is my first cutting hay. And yes, it's a little bit coarse, and I held it back because there's times that we didn't have hay when we needed it. And I built this building to get extra money for my hay by storing it. The building was built by Wigman Construction, and one of the things I really like about the building is every nail and screw is just perfect. You can look at any angle and they cross just like a cornfield that used to be done with check wires. I mean, every angle. So I'm really proud of the people that built this building. They put concrete floor. This is so the hay don't get muddy or dirty or the groundhogs build holes in it. And the other thing was the safety for me stacking this hay up with the tractors and stuff in here. So when I don't have hay in it, I use it for a staging area for my equipment. And we do light work on here. We don't do any torching or a lot of stuff, but when you have to crawl underneath a piece of equipment, it's nice to crawl on concrete. So one of the main things, we got a combine here, we do grain and beans and that. So I wanted to get over here, we got a grain tester, and I was wanting to show the kids that, and other people, we got to test the moisture of the grain coming out of the field because it has to be dry to sell in the store, otherwise it'll get moldy and get hot and even can burn. So this will be for the grain like coming out of the combine. So we'll test it when we do a sample. There is a grain moisture sampling thing on this combine, but something went out and it cost like $2,500, $3,000. I'm not combining 1,000 acres where I need it. and I bought this thing at a garage sale for 20 bucks, or at a, what do you call it, a flea sale, or
Oh,
what do you call a flea thing?
you mean a flea market?
Flea market. I
Yeah.
bought this at a flea market. So, and I had another one of these that worked really good. This one's got batteries, but we dumped the grain in, put it in, and then we turn the knobs and we read it here, and you can see it's got corn, beans, and soybeans. And this is really a simple moisture tester that we got. And you got to calibrate it and make everything, you know, balance the thing on it. We don't have no batteries in it, but just to give you an idea how it works is the main thing on it. So then when we go to our hay, is our other main crop, and this is my specialty crop being in it. And one of the kids asked me, well, why do you like, you know, hay? And I said, well, for one, it's another way of getting a biodeficiency to the ground, or keep the building up ground. Alfalfa's got roots that over a period of time will go down this fall, and that was another way of handling drought stress, because if you had corn and had a hot windy day when it was pollinating, you could technically lose the whole crop on them 2 or 3 days. With alfalfa, you got 4 or 5 cuttings. So if you got some rained on, you got some of that. And for the rained on hay, we try to salvage it. I'll show the other tools that we use to get to this part in a little bit. But our main goal is to get the hay dry, because we don't want no smoking in this barn, either with cigarettes or the hay. So that's why I put that there, and I got the fire extinguisher. We need to have this hay dry when we stack it up. This is a nice barn. I've seen barns burn because of that, and once in a while I get a phone call from an insurance agency asking me, what's hay worth? His barn burnt up. And so anyhow, on that part, I sell Alpha-X hay, and this is another thing. These people breed the hay. They've been in this business for a longer time than the name has. It went through about 4 or 5 transitions in the past 10 years as far as changing names and being owned by different companies and whatever. So, you know, when it says grow your expectation, this is the best company I found to do business with. I found the best seed company, and these same people that's been working for them for years are still there and doing the top job. I know them personally. I've seen their research facility, and these guys have got a passion for hay, and that's what I was looking for. I decided to get in this business because I grew up carrying hay, baling hay from the age of 5 and feeding cattle. So if you put hay in a feed bunk and you listen to cows eat, sounds like, to me, I like it just like people like waterfalls or fountains. You know, you having a cow eating hay just sounds pretty good to me. And it's relaxing if you can take the time to listen to them eat. The way we basically handle that is when we come out of the field, we've got a moisture tester. We did have one on the baler. That didn't work as good. We have a handheld for backup. But another way, we've also, to get this hay dry, we had a hay dryer. And I wanted to know exactly, perfectly for sure, what the moisture was before I put it in and when I took it out. So this is the same kind of a hay moisture tester that they use to have analysis made of the hay at different places then. And this is an old sample I just happened to find or whatever. Actually, this is soybean stubble. We baled soybean stubbles at one time. And used it for feed and bedding. So anyhow, that was the analysis of that, and we take the samples by just going into It was funny, Kevin had a hard time doing it for the ones that was there.
Yeah, he did.
And you take it out, and we measure, we got to know how many grams it is. And actually, I haven't used this thing for a long time, but you'd clear it out and you'd measure it and put the hay in it and whatever. You'd have to pick it out like to get the right measurement on it. And then we put it in here. And it was set on a timer then to heat up for so many minutes. And then we take it off of there. And this heater and this time would take the moisture out of it. And we put it back in there and measure it. And the difference of it, and we'd have a paper here to look, and we knew how much moisture that hay was. And that's basically, you know, I wanted to make sure because we had a hay dryer on it. One of the things about hay, here that people don't realize, and customers that buy hay, it takes a bunch of fertilizer to get high yielding crops. You don't raise high yields without fertilizing. And by fertilizing alfalfa, that fertilizer showed up in these hay samples as well as sometimes high potassium being on there type, so that's pulled out of the field. But a lot of these things here are the micronutrients taken out of the soil, and that's what makes everybody healthy, and that's why milk is healthy, and beef is healthy, and sheep and all the other meat. It's fed hay. It's growing out of the ground, so all the natural micronutrients of the ground is taken out, put in this crop. The cows eat it. So you get healthy, and like the calcium in the milk to get your bones, we got to have a good pH. To check that pH, I bought this soil sampler that I really like. We go out in the fields and we grid the area, and you can step on it. It makes it faster to take the soil sample and get a good accurate sample. We put it in a bucket and we put in a soil sample and send it to a lab. Similar to the feed labs that we got here, our laboratory, just about that, and they measure about the same stuff to find out what's on the field. So not only are you buying hay after your cows eat it, when they poop it out, it is putting a lot of that fertilizer back to the ground. So if you're feeding a horse and you got it running loose on the pasture, well, it's spreading manure out there, but it's spreading the same fertilizer I spent here going through that. And then whatever's the animal utilizes for itself being on that. So these are something that people don't think about when they're buying hay. They're not buying somebody's yard grass. And people at Alpharex, they're breeding the hay to produce milk. So there's a lot of the alfalfa varieties that they have here of low lignin, and the low lignin part of it is helps on the digestibility. It's got a thinner, weaker stem, and it's got more digestibility. The more lignin is in the hay, the less digestible it is, and that's the same thing. It goes with corn. So being on it, but the hay is also a lot greener inside the bale. It's from the sunlight coming in, and that part of it. The other thing is, believe it or not, to start a new field, we sow oats and alfalfa together, and we cut this with a wheat binder, and we had hay in it, and we didn't get a chance to get it thrashed this year, and so we thought, man, this is great, and we ended up just not having the opportunity there, but we had a binder, and actually we throw these into the chickens, and the chickens eat the hay and the oats, and it works out for nice bedding and stuff. So this is an oats bundle that a John Deere wheat binder would do, and this is the seed oats that we use. So that's what the grain would look like, not exactly coming out of a combine or separator, but it's cleaned and tested. And then our other part of it is our alfalfa seed. And this is alfalfa seed treated with their coating. And I highly recommend it because just about 99% of all of it always comes up with a coating on it. And also, just because it's got a coating on it, the coated seed in the Alpha X bags are cheaper than the pure seed. So you're buying the seed when you're paying for the seed, not the coating. But you almost guarantee to stand by having it. We got a sorghum sedan grass that we use to put in the pastures as well as for hay. And that, so forgive me on these bags. These was bags that I opened so the kids could see are left over. Also, I mix in archer grass with my alfalfa, and I do it more on hills because I use them stands, try to make them stand for about 7 years because of hilly and highly warrable ground. So that's the other reason that's the best no-till I got. One thing about putting alfalfa out, a lot of farmers and people forget, well, if you get a good stand, we can usually get 4 to 5 years off of a good alfalfa stand. Our biggest problem is weather. If it keeps raining, some people get desperate to get the hay off the field. They cut it up in ruts and they kill it and ruin it. And some, it may not be the most practical thing to look at, but reality of it is you just got to wait until the field dries off. And you cannot bale wet hay and store it up like this. So they're doing other things like baleage, and where they're wrapping the round bales, and you can wrap the square bales. And I've got this building and I've got enough expenses, I don't want to go with that. The other thing of it is, for me to sell hay, we're hauling moisture. I do not have anybody locally to buy baleage, and I feel if I got to haul it more than 20 miles, I'm not going to make any money on that, and I really don't have the time to haul. I'm running this part of the business here, baling and stacking and storing. So that's the other reason I held on to this, because I know this hay is going to be dry, and I've got it here for right now. And all this took a lot of research. So we don't sell cheap seed, we sell the best seed there is. There's always somebody out there. The other thing of it is that I do not do these bags or anything older or anything that I don't feel like I want to, I don't think a customer should get. I take anything and I use it myself. I know the seed's good and stuff, but when I sell a seed, it's fresh from the plant. It ain't been sitting in a room someplace. I stored up on some inventory one time. People wanted this and that, and they told me they're going to, buy it, and then later on, unfortunately, they get sick or hurt and they can't put their crops out and decided they ain't going to farm, and I got a lot of stuff stuck over here, and I'm still working on that, but you always have trouble with a mouse or something or whatever being in it. So you can have a lot of money tied up, and then if you need money and it's tied up there, people usually dump this seed pretty cheap on it. So that's why I won't have any cheap seed, because I didn't get caught with a bunch of inventory stuck on me on that part of it. It's nice to have inventory when nobody has any seed, but we just don't know from year to year what people are going to need there. I don't have that many alfalfa people in the area, and that's why I do raise alfalfa for that fact there. We do been picking up a lot of new customers, young customers that's bought a hay baler, baling with Grandpa, learning their business in that, and got some cattle, and that's really nice to see. And they're selling to the horse market or whatever in the small squares. But we sell to the horse market. We put one of these bales on the back of a pickup truck, and they can travel 70 miles an hour, and it will not blow off of their truck. These bales will stay where you put them. They're about 800 to 1,000 pounds, and all you gotta do is cut the four strings, and you got the flakes that you just carry off. Most of them we'll put it on there, cut it, unload it, and stack it on a pallet in the corner of the barn. And I think a guy with 7 horses, one of these bales lasts for 5 to 7 days. So on that part, I'll be in there. I'm going to go ahead and show you how we get the hay. Here we had the equipment lined up, being out here on it. That pretty much tells about the seed. We, broadcast it, drill it, roll it in. There's a lot of ways to get the alfalfa. This is my hay vine. It's a sycamore cutter, and we got conditioning rollers in there. Then I had a pull type one. I've used the sickle bar more behind the John Deere A. I pulled a new idea, a 7-foot hay conditioner. I've had a lot of experience. Like I said, I've been doing this when I was 5. I started driving a John Deere GP tractor, 1928. It's a Massey Harris #1 hay baler with a motor. We do have that here. I'm hoping that we can get that running and put together like I used to do it on a small square baler. But we don't, I held that back because that's how we started. And that equipment is, 1920, 45, we're talking 60, 75 years old. And so I've got the experience. One thing about a hay vine, it takes 14 feet and puts it in an 8-foot swath. And that gives me an area I can drive between the windrows. I use my crawler tractor and I use the chrome tedder. That works great. That chrome tedder does 28 feet, so I can do 2 of these on it. Basically, we talk about making rounds or swath. A swath is 1 cut, a round is 2 cuts. So I can get, and of course if you got another machine, you can take 2 rounds and call that a round 2 or a swath with the tedder. Tedder throws it up in the air. When we have a lot of rain, a lot of wet ground, or heavy dew, we can save that hay with that tedder. So we needed that to stay in business. Then it rained more and we needed a Kubota crawler tractor there, if you can get that. We got it hooked up to the planter. We wanted the kids to see the Kinsey planter, how that was put in the field, and going with that. So we use that tractor to plant with. While we got it on the Kinsey planter, it is a bulk fill. It's an 8-row. They came out with it last year, last year. And we do no-till on our fields, and we've got these closing wheels with these points on it. And boy, that really helps on some of the ground like that. I really want to brag that up because it works really well. And then we got the rows in the front. Them are interplant rows, and they're for the soybeans. So we lift them up and turn them off to do corn, and we only plant corn in the back. And one thing I learned, we got 1 extra row on one of these boxes. So one of the air delivery boxes will run empty before the other one, because we got 1 extra row being on that box when we're doing corn. So we always kind of, basically, if we put 2 in this one, we'll put 3 in that one or something like that to come out about the same. Getting back to the hay part of it, our hay baler, it's a Krone baler. It's a 3x4, and as you can see, they stack up relatively nice. They make a bigger one. They make a 4x3, and basically the 3 feet is this high, and then the 4 feet would be this wide. But we got 3x3, and the reason we do that, we have so many horse people, and if we want to cut the strings and feed calves and just take flakes, the 3x4 is easier to handle. And the big thing of it is, probably my baler costs probably $15,000 to $20,000 less. That's how much difference in the size. So on that part. This is my second chrome baler. I had a New Holland. I hated the pickup. If you want to know more about chrome and how much abuse the chrome baler take, Wesley Panley has got a video out there, and he bales extensively of grass for mushrooms. And I contact a great guy. He knows his stuff about equipment and balers, and basically the camless baling and stuff on that part. So there, I'm gonna have to quit.